What's up, everyone, and welcome to Shared Save the Game Media's weekly gaming discussion podcast. I am your host, Kevin, and on today's episode, we're talking all about Gamescom. The PS5 is getting a price increase, and a Patreon mystery topic, as always. Before we get to that and more, going to introduce my co-host, Sam Heaney. How are you, my friend?
Pretty exhausted today, actually. And I don't know why. I haven't done anything. I mean, Thursdays are like usually my busy days, but this one hasn't been any busier than usual. So I don't know why I'm feeling so tired, but I'm good. Seeing you always lifts my spirits, Kev. So
I have that effect on people. Yes.
yeah. Don't want to inflate your ego too much though. So I'm sure I'm gonna crash out in the middle of this podcast. Your effect will wane.
No. I actually have unlimited energy, much like the sun. All right. You familiar with Superman? All right. Gets energy. I'm going to be the sun. You're going to be Clark Kent.
Right. Yeah.
It's just going to power you up the entire. That's the most nerdy reference I think I've ever made.
I might just fly into the sun out of spite.
Icarus style.
It works. How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm doing. I'm having some stomach issues, but we're gonna work through those. Hopefully, they don't rear their head during this podcast because that'd be a bit awkward. But we're coming off a live react. You and me did a live react to Gamescom, which we'll recap here shortly. On that, just working, playing a lot of games, trying to get through as much as possible before next week comes, and then the floodgates genuinely just open. So tons of games coming out, which we will talk about. We are also going to be doing our bonus episode coming up for patrons, so stay tuned for that. But why don't we get into the housekeeping and then jump on into the show? So if you are new here, this is Shared Save, our weekly gaming discussion podcast here at Save the Game Media. We are live every Thursday on youtube.com/Save the Game Media at 7 p.m. Eastern time. If you can't catch us live, we post every Sunday morning for public feeds. I still haven't updated that in the document here, so I almost say the wrong day. If you are new to the public audio feeds, please drop us that 5-star review. That's Apple, Spotify. It does mean a lot and helps us out. If you want to support us further, get early audio access to this podcast and exclusive bonus content like our monthly Q&A that is up now for patrons. And like I said, the Patreon exclusive episode that Sam and I will be recording shortly. Head over to patreon.com/Save the Game Media. Choose the tier that's right for you, like our current supporters. So thank you to Savoy Prime, Sam Hall, Todd Oxtra, Alpaca Tom, Rick Davis, Silkenit, Dave Harp, David Hotwright, Lillian, the Xbox Expansion Pass, Marcus O'Neill, Brendan Myers, aka the Winter Gamer, Nikolai at Night, Fabulous Brianna's mom, Brandon, and Black Wyver. Thank you all for your support. We appreciate each and every one of you. Now that we got housekeeping out of the way, Sam, let's jump into what have you been playing this week?
Shocker. Still Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers.
You told me last week you were going to be done with it.
And I am.
Okay.
Happy to report. But I have been playing it this past week. Wrapped up coverage, so thankfully that is ticked off and done.
So before you go to your other games, since we share this one, so I actually, why don't I chat on it for a little bit here with you? Because I was like, oh, what do I want to play? I'm waiting for Lost Soul Side, Hiragami, Trails in the Sky remake to come out all in the next couple weeks here. So I was like, PC Game Pass has a $1 trial offer for me. I'm gonna sign up. I'm gonna play some games. And I was like, I'll try Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers, right? Because apparently it's pronounced Wu-Chang. From what they've been telling me in the game. And I gotta say, I have some positives. I didn't put much time into this. All right, like 30 minutes maybe.
Okay.
I have some positives. One, I think it feels pretty good to play, like movement wise, combat wise. Like I feel like it was fluid. It didn't give me the thing I always have a problem with Souls game where I feel like it's clunky, slow. However, that's kind of where my positives stop. I guess visually it looks pretty impressive as well. But I don't actually like the game where it currently is. I think it's one confusing. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. Like I talked to a stone and then I went into a dream and it brought me to like the same area, but it wasn't the same area. It was like there were different enemies, and a boss showed up, and that boss proceeded to stomp me over and over again. And I was like, this sucks. This is exactly what I don't like about Souls games. So if you ever add difficulty options, I might swing back in, because you had me with the combat, like the feel of it. The actual difficulty, though, too much for me. So I'm out.
What a shocker.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. He bounced off a Souls like crazy. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think, my opinion is slightly tainted considering I spent upwards of 160 hours in the game.
That's too long.
It is too long. 4 new Game Plus runs.
Did you platinum it?
I did platinum it. Not really out of desire, more out of just necessity for the stuff I had to cover, which unfortunately, I'm a big trophy guy. And I said this on No Limits back in the day, I like to make the milestone platinum something important or like meaningful to me. So like the 50th platinum and the 100th platinum every time, I try to make it a big deal. So my plan was Death Stranding 2 was going to be the 350th, because I was about to reach 350. That was the plan. And then Wutcha came along, and again, because of the necessity of my work, I unfortunately had to make Wutcha my 350th platinum. So that milestone is less meaningful to me, but that's okay. We've always got 400.
Yeah, only what 48 more now, right?
Yeah. So we'll get there. And I'll make sure it is something good.
Which why don't you talk about number 351?
Yeah, Death Stranding 2. I mean, I was so deep in it before Wu-Chan came along, and it's been hurting my soul for the past month or month and a half, not being able to get back into it and actually finish the story and wrap up the platinum. And that's what I did this past week. As soon as I finished Wu-Chang, I immediately deleted it and went across one tab on my dash and booted up Death Stranding 2, wrapped up the last few chapters of the story, and then just, again, for a couple of days, just did nothing but Death Stranding 2 and wrapped up it, got the platinum. I've said it before, but it's just like, it's a fantastic game. It's marvelous. It's better than the first in every way. I think people might say that the story in 1 is maybe a little more easy to sort of connect to emotionally and follow, as crazy as that sounds. 2 is a little bit more scattershot, I think, because it's more of like an ensemble rather than about Sam and your meeting characters. They're all sort of always together, which is nice, but it means it's a little messier. But I appreciated that. So big up.
It says a pretty good finale, eh?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was pretty strong. Certainly a very emotional crescendo. I have, without obviously spoilers, like a few gripes about how the last fight went. But the setting and everything and like the context around it is fantastic. And again, no spoilers, but there is something in the credits that sort of suggests the potential of a Death Stranding 3, which Kojima has said there's an idea for Death Stranding 3, but he wouldn't make it. So I hope that somebody at Kojima Productions eventually makes that game, because what they tease is pretty sick.
Can I just say, I've never played any Death Stranding. I actually own Death Stranding on, like, I think Epic Game Store. I have the director's cut, and I don't know. But I have listened to multiple spoiler casts for not only Death Stranding 1, but Death Stranding 2.
Yep.
And if you asked me to tell you any detail about the game, I would be unable to do so.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when I'm listening to other people talk about this game, they don't even know what the hell is happening in these games.
It is the kind of game where when you're in it, you you submit yourself to the Kojima-ness of it all. And you're like, well, this is absurd and crazy, and I don't quite follow how that leads to this or what that means.
Mm-hmm.
But in the moment, you're sort of enraptured in it, and it does make sense. But then once you step away from it, I don't know, again, that I feel like I'm very well versed on the world of Death Stranding and the characters and stuff, but I don't feel I could appropriately explain any of it if you asked me to. So,
Do, do you think Death Stranding 2 has kind of like come and gone? Like I don't feel like it stayed, and maybe it's just my timeline and like the people I like follow and stuff, but I don't feel like it stayed in the zeitgeist conversation for very long.
no, but then I don't know. I mean, obviously there's exceptions to this. I don't know that sort of iterative sequels do as much. Um, like I would say that about most sequels this generation. You know, you look at like Ragnarok for God of War. It's like people were talking about 2018 for years.
Mm-hmm.
Ragnarok was excellent, and lots of people were talking about it right when it came out. But then it did just sort of not disappear, but just sort of fade over time, and it happened relatively rapidly. Um, so I think, especially with Death Stranding, considering how unique of a game it is, I think that it is biased in the first game's favor because nobody had experienced Death Stranding before,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lot to talk about and like figure out, do we actually like this and what does this mean, and deciphering what the world is about. Whereas all the groundwork is laid, and sort of you go into Death Stranding 2 being like, yeah, it's Death Stranding again. So you don't really have the necessity for that side of the discourse. So there's just inherently less discourse.
And
Um,
yeah, and Nissa brings to the point that there's too many games these days
that as
where
well.
games just don't hang out, and like everyone is, oh, I gotta jump to the next game and the next game, the next big moment, try to be part of the conversation, which I I genuinely like when I think it might be during our Patreon episode, but someone asked like, what's your like top three most anticipated games for the rest of the year? And it's just like you could throw a dart at any day of the week and you'll probably hit one of them because the next few weeks are just so packed.
Yeah. Um, and also, you've got probably less people in general talking about Death Stranding 2 because people that didn't like Death Stranding 1 aren't going to be playing Death Stranding 2. So they aren't going to be talking about it. You only have the people that like Death Stranding playing Death Stranding 2, really. I don't see many people jumping into Death Stranding 2 cold turkey without playing 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are people, but not many. So I think that that also means that there's less people talking about it. In the same, again, that's the same for any sequel, really. Um, it's interesting though. I get it, and I lament that that is the case. I wish people were talking about this game more because of so many amazing things that it does. But that's the way it goes.
Yeah, I feel like this year the game that's really like Claire Obscure is really the game that people
Sucked
still
up all the
talk about. But
oxygen.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I do feel, and not to say that's a bad thing because like we
No.
obviously you and me both love it, but I do feel like it really has like no other game has had a chance to kind of capture everyone this year like that did.
Yeah.
Um, and now maybe Silk Song will be that thing. Well, we'll talk
Mm,
about that, but I don't know.
nah, probably not. It would be
No.
great if it was, but I don't think it's going to have that reach. Um, yeah, it'd be interesting. Like and I think also because Claire Obscure like is probably so easily secured the game of the year. It's sort of like, well, it's a foregone conclusion.
Everyone keeps saying that, and I do like obviously I think it deserves it currently, but I'm like, what if we get to December, like December 11th, I think it is right. We're sitting here live reacting, and then like it doesn't win things. Like
I can't see how that happens. Like I know that there's lots of other great games this year and probably great games that haven't come out yet, but I think for how monumental of a moment Claire Obscure was, I can't see it not walking away with a lot of stuff.
Nissa brings up Split Fiction, which I love. Split
Sure,
Fiction is it's certainly my top 3 games this year. I think
sure.
it's a phenomenal achievement in gaming, certainly. And I assume it will win something.
Yeah, best like multiplayer game or something like that. I don't see it getting Game of the Year. It will probably be nominated, but
Yeah, I think so. If I had to like Expedition 33, Donkey Kong,
yep,
Split Fiction, Silk Song, maybe depending how it's received, but
sure,
maybe Blueprints, if not,
maybe.
right? Then I'm not like you could probably throw a bunch of other ones in there.
I think Death Stranding 2 has a fair shot.
Yeah, I think it has. I think so. I think it really just depends on how the rest of the year hits, though. Like,
Yeah,
does Death Stranding fall out of that top 6 or whatever
yeah.
Jeff
Does
does?
Yote replace it or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Um, maybe. I hope Claire Obscure wins. You know, I hope it does. It might not be my personal game of the year at the end of the year, but I want it to win at the Game Awards. So, yeah. And then the last game I've been playing, primarily today and a little bit of yesterday, is Sword of the Sea, which came out on PlayStation and PC yesterday, I believe.
I think so.
Released into PlayStation Plus catalog as well. And literally about half hour ago, I rolled credits.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just under 5 hours
Oh, pretty
runtime.
short game.
Yeah, yeah. Most of Giant Squid stuff is. Pathless was a little bit longer, but that's primarily because the open world took a little bit longer to traverse. But yeah, really nice, succinct little game. It's up there for me, man. I think it's gonna be in my game of the year conversation.
Wow.
Maybe not super high, but it will be in like a top 5 or
Mhm.
whatever we end up doing. It's I mean, those games are my jam. I love Pathless. Obviously, Journey is excellent. I liked Abzu enough, but this is like a combination of all of the things. I think it's got the sort of tranquility of Journey, it's got the visuals of Abzu, and it's got the traversal of Pathless. And it's took all of those 3 best things from those 3 games and brought them together to a really impressive package. So yeah, I'm really thrilled. I knew I was going to like it, but I'm really glad that I love it.
So I'm not the only thing I know about this game is you ride your like sword
You
across the
do.
desert, right? Like, is there like what's the gameplay loop? Like combat, puzzle solving?
So it's it's primarily just traversal,
Okay.
and sort of navigating
So it is
like
very much
biomes.
journey, flower, stuff
Pretty
like that.
much. There's very light puzzle solving, and puzzle solving is loose in terms of platforming, and by platforming I just mean traversal again. So you know you're riding the sword, and it acts like a surfboard or a skateboard. And say you go into a ruin of a building in one of these biomes, and there is essentially like a half pipe, and you can perform tricks in the air that help you get a little bit more air time, a little bit more height, and then you can get
Hmm.
up to the next level of the building, and you can either activate something up there to let you progress somewhere else, or you can find a secret, or you can get a chest that has the currency in it that lets you earn upgrades and new skills. And there is, you know, mild, very, very mild spoilers. There are like technically boss encounters, but you're not really like actively fighting. You're sort of traversing through a set piece and then hitting a few buttons to deal damage and things like that. So it's a pretty chill game. I know it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but if you like those other games, especially Pathless,
Mm.
then this is like must play level stuff. So yeah, I don't know if I could recommend it to you. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I would say based on what you're describing, I don't know if it would be up my alley just because the other games that they've made haven't really spoke to me. So if
Yeah.
it's more along those lines, it's probably not for me. I see Nissa in the chat saying that they really want to play it. I want Sort of the Sea to come to Xbox, they say, which I think I think Pathless and some of their other games have come to Xbox, so this is probably like a
That
time thing. Yeah.
sounds right.
Yeah.
I would assume so. There has been a thing going on with Giant Squid where they sort of come out around this game releasing, saying that Sony, for all intents and purposes, like saved the studio,
I imagine. Yeah.
and they're like SIE is like thanked vehemently and listed with all the devs and support staff in the credits for the game. So depending on how much they funded it, exactly what is going on, this could be a thing where this is permanently PC and PS5. But considering where we are today with multi-platform stuff,
Yeah, I
I
was gonna
think
say I don't know about that.
if we're talking degrees of exclusivity, I think that this is pretty far down the totem pole. So I'd love for it to go across to Xbox, because even if it's not a Game Pass game, I think that people should play this. So
it's reviewed pretty well, so I'm glad for them. I'm always happy to see a smaller studio getting some wins.
yeah. But what about outside of Wu Chang? What have you been playing?
So after I put down Wu Chang, I was like, oh, what do I want to play? I got Game Pass still. And then I saw, Space Marine Remastered, the War Master Edition, whatever they're calling it. I forget what it's Space Marine 1 Remastered,
Yeah.
right? I played Space Marine 1 at the beginning of January last year, I think, or maybe the year before. So it's kind of fresh in my mind. But I played it on my Ally before, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try out the remaster on my PC, and it's an okay remaster. I mean, it is a very basic remaster. Nothing here like it felt almost like the same exact game I played already. Just it really just up-res some better textures. Nothing amazing in terms of like, oh my god, they put so much work into this. I felt like it was a little more difficult than I remember it being, which was strange. I don't know if they tweaked the balancing or something, but I do feel like it was a little more difficult than I remember. It also had this weird issue where every time, and I assume this is just an old relic, because games used to do this back in the day. But you know when you get to like a checkpoint and you get the auto save and it kind of chugs a little.
Hitches, yeah.
Yes, it had that constantly, and this game has those auto save moments constantly. Like you run down a hallway, you fight, auto save, run down a hallway, fight, auto. Like that is the gameplay loop of Space Marine. So I would get those hitches, and it would really kind of drive me nuts, because like I know this isn't my brand new PC, because like this game is not graphically intensive at all, right? So yeah, Captain Logan, shout out, says I'm just getting older. That year and a half really dulled my skills, I guess. Nissa said you should check out Herdling. Came out today.
I've heard good things, so on my list.
Yeah, but Space Marine, I rolled credits on it. It's a short game. It only takes, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours to roll credits on it, especially when I've already played it and I can skip most of the cutscenes. I'm like, I don't need to see this again. Just a fun, mindless shooter. I'd put a podcast on, sit here, blow up some orcs, which just saying, they're a little racist in that game, right? They call it the greenskins are here, they say. I'm like, whoa. 2025 Sega. What are we doing? All right.
Yeah.
Chill.
Sort of out.
Yeah. After that, though, I was like, all right, I have some time between now and Lost Soulside, which comes out literally a week. What do I want to play? And I was like, I'm gonna try another Souls game. All right. Another Crab's Treasure.
Yeah.
And I tried this one specifically because it has difficulty options. I didn't know how many it actually. I genuinely thought it was just like baseline and then give the Krill a gun and one hit everything. I didn't know there was like easy and then story mode. And I was like, oh wow, this is perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So I put it on easy. And I was like, this feels good. Like easy difficulty almost makes it feel less of a Souls game, more of like an action 3D platformer. I will say platforming, not very good in this game.
No.
The jumping, you'll sometimes get stuck, especially if you're running and you'll just fall. Like, got a little frustrating. Certainly at points when there were like vents you had to like float in and stuff like that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna let it pass. Their first game, small studio. Everything else in this game is going pretty well. Like, combat feels good. I was feeling it, and then I got towards the end of the game, and the level design. I'm not even talking enemy difficulty, because I do think there are some very annoying enemies at the end of this game where I'm going to admit, threw the gun shell on,
of course,
because some of them were making me mad, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna snipe you from over here. How about that? Yeah. So yeah, I got a little frustrated, especially combined with the level design towards the end of this game. I don't know what happened, because I felt like the first like 3/4 of this game, level design is fantastic. Everything's very clear where to go. You're navigating it super easy. Everything's colorful, beautiful. And then they're like, what if we throw you into these very confusing areas that are not well lit? We don't really give you any indication of where you're supposed to go. I'm running around, and you probably know the area, like the pitch dark black one where you take glow sticks. I was running around. I'm like, where the hell do I go? And I almost went to a guide, and then I realized, I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to go almost off the edge, and like the draw distance will come in, and I can see a little ledge I have to like float over to, and then you just progress that way. I'm like, okay, that's fine. One bad area, we can look past it. Nope. Next area, also really bad. They decided we're gonna have you navigating rooftops and hitting switches to like. I did not think that area was intuitive at all. And I'm fairly certain I only progressed through it because I got up really high and I was like, I haven't been over there yet. And then I just jumped off and like timed it perfectly to land on I'm like, I don't know how I would get over here if I wasn't supposed to jump. Like, there were points where I genuinely thought it wanted me to dive into like a big whirlpool, and that just killed me. So I was like very confused. So it got very frustrating at the end of the game. I did beat it. I think the ending was pretty unsatisfying for me. I was like, that's the note we're ending on here. Like, I get tongue-in-cheek humor. I think the game is funny overall. Like, it has some jokes about capitalism and stuff in it like this. But it really, I think it falls apart at the end, and that's a shame because I was really high on it going into the last few levels.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the game, but I think it has pretty glaring flaws. I too, I mean, I was going for the platinum, so I guess that sort of null and voids my opinion in some regard, because towards the end of the game, I did, especially for cleanup, I did just have the gun on the entire time. You know, I just
can't be bothered.
Just get me through this as quickly as possible. I had a good time, but I want this to be over. So I'm proud of you. You saw it through, though. You did it.
I almost looked up guides and I got frustrated, but I did. It was last night. I was like trying to do laundry, and I'm like, all right, I gotta go to sleep if I want to get a good night's sleep in like 30 minutes. And then that came and went, and I was like, I'm beating this freaking game tonight. And then we get to the end. I'm like trying to get as many achievements as possible just so I can like. I'm like, all right, I haven't visited the moon guy in a while. I'll go upgrade my skill trees, and I think I got all of them maxed out. I at least got 2 of them, but I think I got all of them maxed out if I remember correctly. But it was very much like very disappointing ending to that game. They were riding such a high. I was like, it's just like giving me SpongeBob. Like, I'm underwater having a good time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but it fell apart. I'm excited to see what they do in the future. I know they helped publish Peak, right? Like, that's them. So I don't know what they're developing, but it seems they're helping out other smaller indie studios. So the game must have done well if they got the funds to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, that's all I've been playing.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the Trails in the Sky remake demo,
Oh.
but I haven't got to that yet. So Why don't we jump into the news for this week, Sam? Now that we got through what we're playing, and I am gonna go first.
Please.
And I also forgot to change the little scrollers, so I did it now. My topic, Gamescom recap. So Gamescom kicked off Tuesday with opening night live. We've had a bunch of announcements. We've had some new game reveals that were out opening night live, that were at other shows like the Future Game Show, and outside, like I know Nintendo showed off Kirby Air Riders, which I think looks amazing. But just for our purposes, we're gonna stick to opening night live. Even though, I'm just saying, Future Game Show showed off that Halloween game. I'm so in. All right. I'm so
God damn
in.
it.
I do. Yo, no. Friday 13th, Texas Chainsaw. Nah, you're giving me an IP I love. I'm there. All right. With a story mode, I'm going to be slashing up teens. What a good time. But opening night live, Sam. Let's get back on topic. You and I live reacted. We were pretty down on the show throughout the entirety
Yes.
of it.
Quite.
Have you, either through watching other people live react, I don't know, I like to go watch other people live react after
Sure.
the fact. Have you changed your stance? How do you feel overall about opening night live?
No, I haven't really changed my opinion. I'm maybe like marginally more forgiving than we were coming right off the bat, but I still think it was a pretty trash show. And that's not to say that nothing there was good, because there were lots of good games shown there, but it was stuff that we'd seen before. And when we saw most of the stuff that we'd seen before, we didn't really see anything new. It was just sort of seeing them again. And like, that's cool. We saw another probably good / great game again, but I didn't need to, and I didn't learn anything. So there were a few bright spots, as we said, but I mean, I saw some wild takes of scoring the show like a 7 or an 8, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
No, I saw someone say it was a 9 out of 10. And they told the people reacting that you guys, you can't know, you won't be happy with anything. And I'm like, you genuinely have the lowest expectations in the world if you think this was a 9 out of 10 show.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand how people might rate it a little higher if they are specifically and solely in a vacuum looking at how it compares to maybe other opening night lives. I can maybe understand that, because I think that you could argue that this is one of the better opening night lives, but that's like comparing a flaming turd to just a turd. So it's like, how much of a sparkle up are you getting here? Not that much. So I think maybe, yeah, as an opening night live, expectations of what Gamescom usually is, there were good games there, like big name games, so cool. But I think in terms of pacing, in terms of exciting reveals, announcements, teases, whatever, it was just fell flat on its face like 98% of the time. So
Yeah, I was pretty down on it during the show. Multiple times I was sitting here lambasting the fact that we were still watching it, and I was like, oh god, we could just turn it off and move on with our lives. The chat kept us going though. I've watched other people live react to it. Some of our friends, some other content creators I enjoy. Most of them have had the same reaction to me, where they're like, this was a pretty bad show. I I went on Blue Sky and Discord, and I was like, this was genuinely one of the worst shows I've ever seen. Some people push back on me for that, and I got where they were coming from, where in terms of expectations,
sure.
right? I go to a gaming I go to a gaming conference for mainly new reveals. I'm okay with seeing some games, like some new info, if we haven't seen them before. But the problem with the games they showed here were they were mostly games we have seen run into the ground already. Yote's been run into the ground. Outer Worlds 2, you've genuinely like dampened my excitement for that game. You've shoved it down my throat so many times, Xbox. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll get to it. Like I'm no longer super excited. You're it's got the death loop effect is what I call it, right? Where
Yep.
that was on and Monster Hunter Wilds, I think, had this as
Mhm.
well, where it was on every single show for like 2 years. You couldn't escape it. And at least, I don't know, it's 2 years, but that's what it feels like, right? There is such a thing as over marketing. It damages the excitement, the hype, because people get sick of seeing it. Like I am very much of 5 months out, reveal it, give me one or two more trailers from there, and then we can move on. All right. That's all I need. I don't need to see every single little detail. And that really brought the show down for me. But then even when I'm looking at the new reveals, a lot of it just CGI trailers, a lot of it not very exciting. A lot of mobile game style stuff, which we can get it, but like two World of Tanks, you had two World of Tanks trailers.
Twice the fun.
And then you know what the biggest my biggest grievance is we didn't live react to the pre-show, and I watched it with other people. Pre-show was way better than anything that was on the main show. I was like, damn, this pre-show, we should live react to this because the pre-show was pretty good. The actual show, bad. So I'm pretty down on it, but not we'll redetermine if Gamescom's worth live reacting to in the future, everyone. But why don't we talk about some of the announcements? I have a list. Hopefully, this includes everything. It does say it includes everything. It's not in order, which drives me. You know how impossible it is to find a list in order of announcements? No website can give this to me.
You think that would be like the default, right?
In
But
my mind,
not.
yes. Yeah, in my mind, yes. But this one, not in order. So we're just going to go through the lists and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Sure.
We don't talk about everything, but we got a new trailer for Resident Evil Requiem. I think, honestly, what was this, our second time seeing Requiem? I'm okay with this being here. I think the trailer showed very well. Stunning visual beauty of a game. Scary. Resident Evil fans, I think you're gonna be eating good.
Yeah, I wasn't super high on the trailer because I feel like it was paced not that great, and it was sort of a weird splice of showing us a thing that we don't really have any context for, and it ended in a weird way. And it's but like you said, it's the second time we're seeing it, and we actually did see a bit of gameplay there, and obviously they're showing more of it hands-on in Gamescom. I think it could have shown better, but as from what I understand, they're being quite cagey around this game in terms of not showing exactly what the scope of the game is quite yet. So I think that they're trying to be as vague as possible in the months leading up to it coming out early next year. So I get it.
I can already predict we're going to see this at Game Awards and then a state of play at the top of the year.
Yeah, I think that's a relatively safe assumption. I don't think it, because it's here, I don't think it would be at the Sony show that's meant to be next month.
I hope not.
Could you imagine?
Okay. The show closer is next on this list. Game Science announces their new Black Myth follow-up, Black Myth Zongqi.
Zongqi.
I believe. Okay, as we dive out the window, CGI trailer didn't do much for me, right? Like it's gonna be, I assume, similar to Black Myth Wukong. If you enjoyed that game, I think you'll be happy, but this is undoubtedly years away.
Yeah, it doesn't. Wukong didn't do anything for me, so this didn't do anything for me. I'm sure it will look very visually impressive in the same way that Wukong did, but if it's just Wukong again, then I'm good.
Lego Batman was shown. The game is called Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, coming 2026. Incorporates things from the comics, the movies, previous video games. You see some Arkham style combat in there. This was actually, I think, one of the better trailers. I know when we were watching, like Lego games aren't my thing, so it doesn't get me super excited. But when you do look at it, I'm like, okay, this is a good trailer. Like the combat shows well. It has moments that fans of Batman can recognize to get you excited. So pretty good trailer.
Yeah, the highlight of the show for me, honestly. I love Lego games, always have. unironically. So, not the biggest Batman guy or DC guy. I think the Lego Batman games, with the exception of maybe Lego Batman 3, have been the weakest of the Lego games. But this is obviously a very big creative shift into it basically just being an Arkham game. And I loved Skywalker Saga. So for them to do
that's
that.
a hot take.
Apparently so. Hey, I am unabashedly proud to say I like Skywalker Saga a lot. So for them to do the equivalent of that for Batman, it's not where I would have wanted them to go next. I would have loved to have had like an MCU Lego collection game, covering all the films and stuff like that. And I imagine that could still happen. But like we said on the live react, they're a WB studio, so it would make sense that they would focus on DC primarily, if not solely, going forwards. So yeah, it'll be a day one for me. Absolutely.
Give us the Snyder cut.
Do you think he's going to be a character in the game? Do you think they're going to do that?
Zack Snyder?
Yeah. Because I think they've already said that James Gunn is a character in the game.
What? Okay, now we're getting ridiculous now. That's absurd. Ghost of Yotei got a new trailer showing off more of the game, and then they confirmed that the multiplayer Legends mode is coming next year in a free update if you own the game. It'll feature 2-player co-op missions, and then I think 4-player survival missions is what they're going for. I have friends really excited for that. The game in general, but also Legends they really enjoyed. Not an announcement for me, to be fair. Also, I'm just sick of seeing Yotei, but it's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I can't say that I'm sick of seeing it because I'm like very excited for it and I'll take what I can get. But I also, it's one of those where I didn't really need to see it because I'm already sold.
Also comes out in like a month.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like 6 weeks. So what they showed was great, but we didn't learn anything new. It was just showing a bit more, and it looks as good to me as it has done already. Getting Legends confirmed, I actually would have preferred just like a very short Yotei thing and then a longer Legends trailer
yeah,
to actually show what that's going to look like. But I imagine it's just going to look like Tsushima Legends, which is fine by me. So
is it frustrating though to have them announce that, hey, we're going to put this in 2026? Like, I feel like that should have been there at launch. And maybe I'm nitpicking, but
I get the sentiment. I don't think so, because that's the same rollout that they had for Tsushima Legends, where it came later as a free thing. I think having the focus be on the single player at launch is smart. And then having Legends come out later as a free thing for everyone who owns the game means that you can sort of artificially manufacture a second wind for the game of people coming back to the game. And obviously they haven't said anything, but if they're doing a Legends mode, I could very easily see them also doing single player DLC for Yotei in the same way they did for Tsushima. So they can sort of create yet another wind. I don't know whether they would coincide that with Legends or not. I don't think so, but I don't have a problem with it. I think that if you're going to Yotei, if you didn't care about Tsushima but you cared about Legends, I think that that's where it becomes frustrating, because you see that Legends is coming for Yotei, but you aren't going to be able to play it till next year. But it still means you have to buy the game. So, actually, I mean, it's a free.
Legends yeah, I would say I think Tsushima Legends is a standalone download because I have Legends.
Yeah, because it wasn't to begin with, or like it's technically a standalone app, but you had to own the game to access it. I assume you'll get free access to it as a Yotei owner, but you could probably still purchase it separately. Yeah.
Okay. October 2nd for Ghost of Yotei. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 took up 15 20 minutes of this 2-hour show. It comes out November 14th. Zombies back. The entire campaign is co-op. You can play up to 4 players, which I think is a neat addition if you're in the Call of Duty space. They said they've reworked they have some end game mode for campaign now. I just really I haven't played Call of Duty since Ghosts. So this clearly is not an announcement for me, and I just think taking so much time is kind of a slap in the face to a lot of people who are like, let's move it along. We got other games to talk about.
Yeah.
Could have made this show shorter.
Yeah, and I also think it's just unfortunate for Call of Duty, I guess, although it's good for us in the long run, competition-wise, that Battlefield 6 just seems to have this year probably on lock, So of the 2 big shooters, I think that the excitement is squarely and solely around Battlefield for the first time in a long time. So
it comes out a month sooner, not to
exactly.
You, but
so maybe people jump ship from Battlefield to Call of Duty, maybe, but I can't necessarily see that happening. If you're going to go all in on Battlefield, you're probably going to stay there. And the reception online, cesspool as the internet is, it hasn't been that kind on Black Ops 7. So I don't know how it's going to go. Inevitably, it's still going to sell incredibly well because that's just what Call of Duty does. But I will be interested to see exactly what the lay of the land looks like, because I think that there is a chance, again, for the first time in a long time, that Call of Duty could actually take a bit of a blow here.
I actually hope that Battlefield, neither of these games are for me, but I hope Battlefield does come out and it is successful to drive that competition in the space, to make Call of Duty look every year over their shoulder, be like, oh, we really got to up our game. We got to introduce something new, because I haven't heard people talk about Battlefield the way they're talking about this Battlefield in so long. I feel like every podcast I listen to, whether it's our friends, whether it's other content creators I just follow, they're all so positive about Battlefield based on the betas they've been playing, based on things that developers have been saying. I'm like, I think Battlefield, and then they're busting Steam numbers, right? Breaking Call of Duty records. So for me, I'm sitting here, I'm like, I don't know what's going on over there, but I'm really excited for the Battlefield community and people that are looking for these types of competitive shooters to just push Call of Duty.
Yeah. We'll find out very soon.
Yeah. This was on the pre-show, but genuinely everyone, and I mean this sincerely, this is the most exciting announcement for me from the show. Bubsy 4D, everyone. Bubsy is back. They are being handed off. They're getting a brand new 3D platformer, which looks pretty good. I gotta be honest, it looks pretty good. Do I think Bubsy as a character is endearing? No, I think he's annoying as all hell. But if I just take my headphones out and just put a podcast on and do some 3D platforming, I think I can have a pretty good time. My only concern is that it's being developed by Fabraz, who they're the developer behind Demon Tides and Demon Turf, which I don't really like all that much. So I'm a little worried about different style game, right? Different type of it's a 3D platform or different style. They have a whole 2D in a 3D plane thing going on, which makes it feel awkward, the jumping and everything in those games. But this looks like a standard 3D platformer. I'm hoping it feels better to play, so I'll give them some leniency and courtesy there. But I genuinely am excited for this.
You have fun,
Bubsy gets a bad rap, man.
I wonder why. It's not like he's ever had a bad game or anything, right? Just don't mention who made it.
Yeah. Bend. All right, we can go through some of these. Battlestar Galactica is getting a new game. Great.
Yep.
Night Dive is remastering Outlaws. This is a remaster of a 1998 game or something. Never heard of it.
Good for them.
He-Man is getting an arcade beat 'em up that looks awesome. I gotta say, I'm really digging the revival of the beat 'em up genre, because these games, they're short, cheap, and fun to play with friends. And this was also on the pre-show. This had a very 90s cartoon, probably earlier, not in the 90s, but this had a very old school cartoon where they were saying way too many words per like in a sentence. I don't know. It was endearing. I have fond memories of watching He-Man as a child. I'm not like super into the series, but this could be a fun, like if it's on Game Pass, PS Plus, or
Sure.
like cheap, like it could be a fun time with friends.
Yeah, I don't have any connection to He-Man necessarily, or even beat 'em ups, but this one did catch my eye retroactively. So, hey, maybe maybe we can.
We'll see. We'll see what it is. Limited run game, says the trailer, so that doesn't fill me with much confidence. Absolem, I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Got a new trailer on the pre-show. It's a beautiful art style, hand drawn. It's a roguelite beat 'em up, as we were talking about. It didn't super grab me, but I know other people in the indie, like where's Selkin? Is he in the chat? I feel like he might be into this one because he really loves indie games.
I've heard a fair amount of buzz around it, but I can't say it showed well for me. It didn't sort of light a fire under me or anything. So it could be one of those things where it comes out, is like really highly reviewed, and then I'll come to it. But it's not really something that I'm going to be keeping my eye on. So
I see Wang Sheng Ghostly Guides. Thundercats next, please. I'm with you.
No.
You don't like Thundercats?
No. Sorry.
Schnar, schnar.
Especially not when you do that.
Long Gone is a game. I forget what developer this is coming from. It's a follow up from someone, and I just can't remember who. But this one didn't do much for me. It's combining 3D and 2D pixel art. PC only. I can't remember who's making it though.
Hillfort Games. They made. Let's see. Why is that not loading? 10 Bells?
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of someone else then.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, this might be what I'm thinking of. Valor Mortis. This is on the pre-show as well. This is the Ghost Runner developer. Yes. This is what I was thinking of. Ghost Runner. This is their new game. Very different to Ghost Runner. Not fast-paced, first-person hack and slash type shooter game. This is a first-person Souls-like.
Right up your alley.
Yeah, because just what we need. At least it's doing something different. All right, I will say, like looking at it, I'm like, okay, it doesn't look like every other Souls-like in the genre. Like they're changing perspective. They're sword and a gun. Like the art style looks cool. Like it looks cool. I just know that I'm never gonna play it. But happy for everyone. Not what I would have expected from the Ghost Runner team.
Yeah, I'm fully on board. I loved Ghost Runner 1. I didn't finish 2, not really for any reason, but this looks sick. So I'll be there.
Todd Oxter in the chat. Shout out Todd. He says Souls-like sad face. I think a lot of people.
Turn that frown upside down.
I saw. I think it was Khalif Adams, right?
Yeah.
He was
take
like,
a break.
"Yeah, can we take a break from the Souls-like?" Yeah, I'm with you. All right. Feel like every other trailer at these Summer Game Fest, especially Souls-like.
I'm Kylo Ren. Just more.
I feel like we're in the battle royale spot with the Souls-like now. Like we went battle royale, roguelite, and now it's Souls-like, and I'm like,
But here's the thing, Kev. You've got to have the flood. You've got to have the amount of them for people to then become sick of them, and then the fad goes away. People still love them. You just got to let it happen.
Dench Attack is a Jet Set Radio Tony Hawk style game where you play as a truck or a bus or something. A train?
A train, I think, is a train.
And you're doing tricks as a train. Looks neat.
Fun, yeah.
2026 for that one. Routine, I'm not sure I have much to say about that one. Apparently it's coming late 2025, but Mick Gordon's doing the soundtrack, and it's coming to Game Pass.
And I don't think it's on PlayStation.
Really?
I don't think so. It's got a cool vibe. It's very sort of Dead Spacey.
Yeah, it's like like Alien.
Alien Isolation as
Alien, yeah,
well.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, that's exactly it. Alien Isolation. I don't even remember seeing this one. PVKK. I don't even know what that
Yes,
is.
let's go.
What is that? I don't even remember seeing this.
So it's you are a dude and you are in a planetary defense cannon, like an interplanetary sort of bunker. Think of like Papers, Please. That's where I have always framed this in my head.
Okay, I do
Um,
remember you saying the game looked like Papers, Please.
so you're sort of like controlling, you've got all the controls in front of you and you're sort of angling the cannon and firing it, and you have to make decisions on what and who you fire on and whether you follow orders and things like that. You can decorate your bunker. It's very quirky, but it's absolutely for me.
Next up is Swords of Legends, which is actually, I believe this is the trailer we came in on. I go, oh, this is where the wind meets, or whatever that game was. It wasn't. It was Swords of Legends, or as we're going to call it, Katana Slop. I believe that's what the kids are saying.
Yep.
The trailer actually doesn't, like, it's pretty game. Combat looks fluid. Like, in terms of would I play this? Probably, but I'm just so numb to seeing trailers that look like this. I can't be bothered to get excited.
Yeah, and it's not just that. It's also like the amount makes me doubt whether it's just a lot of these are just vaporware. You know, where it's sort of chasing the clout and the discussion around all of these. Like, what was the Tides of Annihilation is the other one.
No, I think that looks awesome.
I mean, it looks awesome, but I'm also like,
I get what you're saying. It could fall into a camp of
like, it looks sick, but it's actually pretty trash.
Yeah, fair. I'm confident Tides of Annihilation won't be trash. This Swords of Legends, also terrible name. Just a terrible name. Yeah. But this is one like I'll wish list and then see how reviews do for it.
Absolutely.
Oh, probably the second best announcement. Pac-Man is crossing over with Sonic, everyone.
You're a sick man, Kevin.
Sonic's coming to Pac-Man World Repack, and Pac-Man's coming to Sonic Cross Worlds. Let's go. I didn't know this. The games come out one day apart. Like, that's a good crossover right there.
I mean,
I will play Pac-Man World Repack too. Sonic Cross Worlds maybe on a discount.
I'm sure there are dozens of you, and I'm happy for you.
One of the worst trailers I saw, Road Kings. Focus, I get it. You have lots of expedition mode. You're good with these vehicles, but like this had some weird vibes going on, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, not for me.
Jeff kicked off the show by letting you know that Team Cherry was probably going to tell you Silk Song's coming out, and everyone, Silk Song is coming out. They had their presentation today, and they announced September 4th. You'll be able to play Silk Song, Hollow Knight Silk Song, if you want the full title. I'm very happy for Silknet and everyone else who is super excited for this game. I will not be partaking.
It's just a buzzkill, Kev. You know, me and Silknet, we're going to be having fun.
It's fine. I hope millions of you do. Yeah. The first one sold 15 million, I think they said.
It did.
It's crazy.
They're deservedly so.
They could have all just disappeared, retired as millionaires.
I mean, it's taken them long enough. You know, maybe they did.
7 years.
Maybe they thought about it for a while, and then they went, actually, maybe we should make the game.
Yeah. Apparently, they won't be sending out review copies. They're gonna just Kickstarter, and then reviews will come out later. It'll certainly, propel me up my fantasy critic, so I can kick Sam's butt here. But
it's a 66 open critic prediction.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Lords of the Fallen 2 was revealed with a nice cinematic trailer coming out next year. Despite being called Lords of the Fallen 2, this is actually the third Lords of the Fallen game. Cool. I don't know what else to say. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because the dev or a dev, the lead dev or the leader of the studio is like a
Thomas.
crummy dude. So it's like, it's weird. but like I didn't mind Lords of the Fallen. I actually kind of liked it.
That's what I've heard. I've heard the game is like decent, but the studio head did go on a diatribe like,
So,
you know what? You guys are right. It should be male, female body types, not type 1, type 2. I'm like,
So
who cares? That's not what makes your game good.
it doesn't change anything about the game. Yeah, but I can't say I won't ever play it because like if it does review well, then I like the first one enough to probably try it, but it does give me pause. So we'll see.
Sekiro's getting an anime.
Looked not that great.
Glad you said it, not me.
Yep.
Warhammer is getting a new game. The Warhammer Dawn of War 4.
Sick.
Too many. Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy 14 and Monster Hunter Wilds are both crossing over with each other.
Breeze. Head exploded, I'm sure.
Another trailer for Onimusha. I get it, Capcom. You want to revive this dead franchise. You're driving it into the ground.
Yeah. Again, another trailer that just didn't really show us anything new. It's just like, here's a bit more Onimusha.
Like, you want to see him cut more people?
Sick, not really. Thanks.
Not really, no. Europa Universalis 5. Maybe the worst trailer I saw today. Daemon X Machina, Titanic Scion. Some of the worst animations, stiffness, lip sync. Like, Daemon X Machina is a game I've always been interested. Like, oh, this might be fun to try. And I saw this trailer. I'm like, maybe not.
Yeah, pass.
We got a new look at the Fallout TV series for season 2. Looks good.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of like movies and TV shows at these types of things because it's like you're either in or you're not. And if you either watch season 1 or you didn't. So, and most people did. So I'm excited for it.
Hopefully Bethesda have something that they can align game wise with the next season.
Fallout 3 remastered.
I mean, obviously it would make more sense for New Vegas, but we
don't do that here.
I don't think that's happening, which is crazy.
Indiana Jones DLC, another game where I don't need to see. You just showed me more Indiana Jones. Like I didn't need a DLC trailer. I think the bigger news is it's coming to Nintendo Switch in 2026. This is the first Xbox game that's actually going to be going over to Nintendo Switch 2. I don't know. I think I said it in the Discord, but I'm fairly confident they didn't get dev kits ahead of time. Otherwise, we would have seen this stuff happen much sooner. Like, there's no way Xbox wouldn't have wanted Gears next week on Switch 2.
Yeah, it seems pretty crazy that Indiana Jones of all games is going to be the first one, seemingly, to go over, unless they have a very tight turnaround of announcement to release over the next couple of months or something else. But yep, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Good for how do you think it's going to run?
I think it'll run fine. I don't really think it's that like it looks fine. It never blew me away visually in terms of like I think it can run just fine on a Switch 2.
Okay.
Deadpool VR got a release date, November 18th, exclusively for MetaQuest.
I'd play it if it came to PSVR, but it's not. So
it's not going to. Also, Neil Patrick Harris, I don't know if you're a good Deadpool.
Yeah.
John Carpenter revealed Toxic Commando gameplay coming 2026. Guys, picture Back 4 Blood and Left 4 Dead, and now you know exactly what this game looks like.
Yep. I mean, I hope it's cool because I'd love another Left 4 Dead that's like good.
This screams Game Pass, PS Plus, like subscription service to get a player base for me.
Yep.
I can't see it selling very well.
No.
This next one, which I at the time watching it, I was like, okay, this looks neat. The more I've watched the trailer, the more I'm like, okay, I'm kind of sold. Not sold, but like I'm more interested. The Monkey Island developer, Death by Scrolling, is their new game. Where I think the music sounded pretty generic, but the actual gameplay loop, I was like, I think this could be fun.
Yeah, I was fully on board. I love the Monkey Island games, but obviously this is a big swing. But I think it's pretty unique. Talking about a show where we've seen lots of the stuff before, this definitely stood out as something like, oh, obviously this isn't a entirely new concept, but I can't remember the last time I've seen a game that was like this. So
We
outside
get
of the Vampire Survivors comparisons,
Yeah, well, we get Vampire Survivors likes almost weekly now from people just crapping out low effort ripoffs, right?
yeah,
This looked like it took the formula and evolved it, added new gameplay elements like the screen scrolling,
hmm
like it's doing something unique, not just ripping off what has already come before it, and that's what I appreciate.
yep,
I also think the art style looks pretty good, so I'll keep my eye on that one.
yep, agreed.
Disco Elysium team, Zawe has
Zaum.
Zaum has revealed their next game called Zero Parades. Um, and I don't know what the hell this trailer was. It was strange. I'm also kind of turned off by this studio for the way they treated the actual developers of Disco Elysium.
Yeah, like it looks sick. Like the concept is really cool, but if you liked Disco Elysium, basically every single person that made that is now no longer at the studio. So this game could still be great, but I'm not holding out hope because the people that made Disco Elysium what it was, as excellent as that game was, they're not involved. So
I do wonder because Jeff made a comment before. He's like about how they've had some. I forget the wording he used, but almost like they've had a lot
turbulence
going
or
on,
something, yeah.
turbulence, something like that. And I almost wonder if they like read that and I was like, why would you say that?
It seems like something that they wouldn't,
He seemed a little passive aggressive.
yeah, maybe he was going a bit off script there, which fair enough if he was.
Yeah, because I think they're nonsense. And for anyone, you can go look it up, but nonsense.
Yeah.
Ninja Gaiden 4, another game I've seen too much of, got a story trailer. I've been sold on Ninja Gaiden 4 since January when you showed me the developer direct.
Stop it.
It looks awesome. I'm in. Silent Hill F got a new trailer. Another game that's quickly approaching stop ramming it down my throat territory.
Yep.
Again, I don't think it looks too bad. They revealed Susie Young is, I believe, her name. Going to be the voice actress for the English dub. I'm waiting for reviews on that one. I haven't even played Silent Hill 2, so like
we'll get on that.
It's just so expensive. I'm waiting for a sale.
All right, I understand. I get it.
Every time it goes on sale, it's like the digital deluxe edition. I'm like, how about the regular edition though?
That's how they get you, Kev. That's how they get you.
That's not getting me. Another Chronos: The New Dawn trailer. This one is also this is what I'm saying. All right. We've seen these games too much. I think this game looks good. Like, again, I know Kyle is really interested in this one. He's going to wait because it's coming out at the worst possible time. September 5th is a terrible time to release a video game this year. So it's going to have to wait. But bunch of cats in this one. Also, if you pre-order it right now on Steam, you get the medium as a bonus. They'll give you another free game. So
it's weird that they're trying to disincentivize you to pre-order.
Why does everyone say that?
Because the medium is not good.
I liked it. I liked it.
I platinumed it earlier. I can't say much, but
I missed one collectible. Otherwise, I would have had it.
Yeah,
and I wasn't going back through. Outer Worlds 2 got another trailer.
Stop it. Stop.
Okay. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 finally got a release date coming October 21st, 2025.
Doubt.
I have no hope that this game's going to be good after the terrible development cycle.
Yeah. It's a shame because conceptually it's awesome. Like the Vampire games have been pretty great, mostly back in the day at least. but it seems like a cursed IP at this point. So I'll be pleasantly surprised, put it that way.
Kingdom Come Deliverance is getting a Forge DLC. Age of Empires 4 is coming to PlayStation 5. I thought it was Starfield during live reacts because they were like, oh, the next Xbox franchise and its new DLC. And I was like, oh my God, Starfield. Call of the Lamb's getting an expansion. Very cool. World of Warcraft had the longest cinematic in the history of cinematics, and it wasn't even a good one. It wasn't even a good one.
No.
Blizzard, you're so good at cinematics. What are you doing?
If only they were good at making games.
And that is everything from Gamescom, according to this list. So I stand by my pretty awful show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's switch from my topic, and we're gonna go actually not to your topic, Sam, but we're gonna go to the Patreon topic. This week coming from Silkin It, who says hello. With Silksong being real, doubters and shambles, and by tomorrow, Thursday, we will have a date, #believe. I would like to know your opinion about hype cycles and expectations. How good can it be for marketing, but also bad if mismanaged? What part of it is on the consumer, etc.? Silksong is the epitome of that right now, with it entering meme status, and I fear people won't be able to separate the hype they have built for themselves and the actual quality of the game. I'm personally expecting more Hollow Knight level of quality, so I don't think I'd be disappointed. Thank you for writing in, soaking it like every patron can do at any tier over on patreon.com/SaveTheGameMedia. In our weekly thread, I put it up on Wednesdays, and then we pick one for the public show. The rest will be answered in our monthly Patreon exclusive episode. Soaking it, thank you for the write-in. Sam, hype levels, expectations, how do we feel?
I mean, it's a very difficult tightrope to walk most of the time. I'm generally of the mind that the shorter the window you can have, the better. We just talked at length about several games that we've seen multiple times, and it's actively kind of like killing our excitement. I think that there are some games that kind of transcend that a little bit that I would give more leeway to, that could have a few years run up, but they would be the exception rather than the rule. I think that there is a give and a take regardless of which strategy you employ. Either you announce games well in advance and you have the buzz and you have people talking about games for years, but then that means that the wait is long and people can set up maybe unrealistic expectations, that will then make it very difficult for that game to meet or even exceed those expectations upon release. But the inverse is that you don't say anything until close to release, but then you have the long periods between those high points where it feels like nothing's happening. And that's obviously been like PlayStation, especially their strategy as of late. And that does mean that when they do release a game, it feels like a bigger event. But it also means that there are extreme low periods where people are sort of like tearing each other apart because they think that everything is blowing up when realistically they're just, again, chipping away and trying to get to that next, hey, the game's out in 6 months or a year's time. So I don't know, man. I think it depends very heavily on how big the game is, what the game is, what IP it's attached to, whether it's a new thing or an established thing. I don't think the answer is very easy to this because there isn't a one size fits all, in my opinion.
I'm kind of with you. I think of if we take Silksong, obviously they announced the game 7 years ago at this point, right? And I think Silksong's issue is it started off as a smaller project, right? Like they said, hey, it's gonna be DLC. Then they turned it into an actual game, and we heard for years, like it's coming soon, and then 2022 they say, hey, it's coming in the next 12 months, and now we're 3 months past that. So when you get things like that, it does feed into not only people excited because they love the first one, but they then have constant reassurance that it's coming soon. So when you don't hear about it, it's almost like, well, you're setting my expectations that it's coming soon, and then I'm not supposed to be disappointed uh, that it hasn't shown up, right? Sorry, Kyle's posted in the chat. 3 years past 2022, not months. Oh, did I say 3 months? Yes, 3 years past 2022. Yes, but so I think the developers that set expectations and then then people who try to blame the audience for buying into those expectations, I don't think that is reasonable. Like, if you announce a game, and let's take Elder Scrolls 6, right?
Yep.
If you announce a game in 2018, then they announced Elder Scrolls 6, and we have not heard anything about it since then, people will make up things in their mind, like, oh, it must be in trouble. It's not going to be as good as we think. Like, or they'll overhype, like, oh my God, they must be making something really good. So I really do put more of it on the developers I think they need to talk more. I think they need to talk less initially, but then once they do announce something, you need to talk, like, update things.
Sure.
You don't need to show it every time, but like, be consistent. Like, hey, we're on track to meet our targets. Like, pay attention to those types of things. When I'm thinking of when I'm thinking of games that have unreasonable expectations but then meet them, something like Elden Ring, right? Elden Ring was announced ages ago, and that kind of entered meme status like Silksong did.
Yep.
But then it finally got revealed, it came out, and we're also, well, there's no way it can possibly live up to the hype. And then it does. I think those are the rare instances where the hype cycle is actually justified. Because 9 times out of 10, I'd say people getting as hyped as they do about the games probably not going to meet your expectations. You're setting yourself up for failure. So you really should keep yourself grounded. It's good to be excited for things. It's good to look forward to a game. I'm looking forward to plenty of games this year, but I'm also not like, oh my God, this is going to be the best game ever. This one is going to like change the genre. Like, as long as it's a good game, that's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking for genre defining. I'm not looking for a generational game, because then I think when you do get those games, like, I think, not to say this is not to overblow, not to, hype this one up, but Clair Obscur, right? I think that took most people by surprise.
Yep.
But that had not low expectations, but I think everyone saw it, was like, I think this could be a good game. And then when you played it, it exceeded those expectations. We need more of that. Less hyping yourself up, less setting unrealistic expectations. Just show a good trailer, stick to a release date, and let your game do the talking for you.
Yeah. And I think that can even work. It's less likely, but it can work for big IP as well, because you think about what the modern day equivalent of a very quick hype cycle was. It started with Fallout 4. And it's one of those things where Fallout 4 was kind of like a foregone conclusion. Like, we knew that they were working on it, they just didn't confirm it. And then they show it and reveal it, and then they're like, oh, it's out in 4.5 months. And I think that helped the game. Like, it exploded it in terms of hype, but it also made it sell incredibly well, probably better than it would have done otherwise. And I also think that it kind of shielded it, at least in the short to midterm, from critiques as well, because people were so excited and so hyped and like, oh, it's so close, and then the game is already out, and it's like, oh my God, that's amazing. And not to say that Fallout 4 is a bad game, because it's not, but I think that in the years since, there has then been retroactive criticism and sort of nitpicking of that game and decisions it made that it didn't face at launch. And I think that, talking about like setting expectations from the consumer side of things, if Fallout 4 was announced years in advance, people would have those expectations of what Fallout 4 was going to be in their heads, and then the game comes out and doesn't meet it. And I think that the criticisms are then more immediately viable for consumers to make. Whereas when it's such a quick turnaround, they don't have those preconceived notions in their head to base their critiques off of. So I think generally it's better to not say anything, particularly if the next game that your studio is working on is a foregone conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
So like on the PlayStation side, we know a Horizon 3 is going to come, right?
Yeah.
Guerrilla, just don't say anything
Mm-hmm.
because we know it's coming. Like we know it's going to happen. So just don't say that it's happening. And then when you say it's happening, it can be out in, at most maybe a year's time from initial release, preferably shorter than that.
Yeah.
Same for like a Spider-Man 3. We know that's going to happen. Don't show it off years in advance. Don't do that. Don't tease it in 2021 and then say it's coming in 2023. Just show it in 2026 and have it come out in 2027. So I think that is something, when it's a new IP or whether it's a revitalization or a reboot or a revamp, that's where you can have a bit more leeway, in my opinion. Like the next, as much cachet as it has, I think that like the next God of War probably can have a bit of a longer lead to it, depending on how much it switches up the gameplay. Like if it is just another 2018 Ragnarok style game, fine, because your expectations, everything's in check. It's just the setting that's different. If you are like revamping the game again into a new genre or whatever, I think you need a little bit of a longer runway so that you can reveal it, show the setting and everything, and then give a bit of information about what the game actually is going to be. So again, I think ultimately it's a one size fits all, but it's not a one size fits all. But generally, on the whole, I think we're just in accordance that the shorter span you can have, the better. Even if that does mean, again, that there are those periods where from first party teams that we love the most, more often than not, we aren't hearing much.
I will say, I think you make great points. In terms of what Silken is asking, like how much is on the consumer. I really only blame the consumer when they hype things up that are based on leaks or things they concoct in their brain.
Yeah.
And I'll say, like, when South of Midnight got leaked, right? They're like, oh, it's gothic, southern, lore. Like everyone was hyping it, like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. And then you see South of Midnight, like, that is not what I expected, right? So I think that is you expected one thing based on leaks. That is never what the studio came out and told you. That's not what they were making. I think of Perfect Dark, where I think the studio kind of maybe set themselves up for failure there, but I do think people had expectations on what Perfect Dark was going to be. I think of Hellblade 2, people wanted Hellblade of War, right? Which was never said, never stated, never shown. They set themselves up for the consumer set themselves up for failure. But I think of something that we never even saw a gameplay of, Contraband. The amount of people that were genuinely like, oh, excuse me, I can't believe Contraband got canceled. Like, really? You can't? Like, were you excited? Tell me about Contraband. All right, let me hear about Contraband from you, because it wasn't a game. It wasn't. Yeah. It was an idea, a vague one at that we didn't even know about. It was a multiplayer game. That's a heist, maybe. Yeah. What was there to be upset about? But people built expectations that this was going to be a bigger thing because it was an Xbox showcase. Xbox is publishing it. It has to be a big thing, right?
Same for like an Everwild, where people were like, it's Rare's next thing after Sea of Thieves, and it's going to be, like a bit life simmy, and it's like, what? Rare never said any of that. You're just making assumptions. And obviously those are different circumstances because the games were cancelled, and thus you won't have expectations to be let down when the game releases. But still, I think that the point remains salient that if you as a consumer are making assumptions based on marketing that is trying to bait you
Mhm.
basically into feeling really good about a game, then that's on you, not on them.
All right, Sam. Well, so can I thank you for writing in with your topic? Appreciate it, and appreciate all patrons who wrote in with their topics. We will answer you in the bonus episode exclusively on Patreon.com later this month. Sam, why don't we get to your topic and then wrap this show up?
Yeah. Well, it's I was going to say it was a pretty light news week for PlayStation, but then a couple of things happened over the past couple of days, and here we are. So PS5 digital disc drive and Pro all rise by $50 in the US. About 3 months after the price rise elsewhere in the world, where they said they had 3 months of stock, so that obviously ran out.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously they're not the first to do this, or I shouldn't say the first. They're not the only ones to do this. Xbox did this. Nintendo have risen the price of Switch One. I framed the question as, because of this, do we feel that Sony need to speak? This is a recurring conversation, even relating to the last thing that we were just talking about hype and expectations and reveals. Sony have a lot that they could feasibly talk about. It's just where, and obviously Jeff Grubb came out with a rumor of a state of play or a showcase
No.
next month, which is what we would expect. They always do a show in September. But do they, in light of the price increase and leading up into the holiday window and then GTA after the fact, do they need to have not necessarily a showcase, because I think that's a sticking point for a lot of people, but do they need to have a relatively big blowout to try and change the narrative, bring it back onto the positive, make them the most alluring prospect going into the holiday period where people will be picking up the hardware?
So right off the bat, I just want to say, like, obviously prices have been increasing around the world. I think some countries have got 2 increases this
Yep.
generation on PlayStation. This is PlayStation 5's first price increase in the United States, if I remember correctly. I think PlayStation Plus has gone up once, maybe twice. So they have been raising prices, but this is the first console price increase that we've seen here in the States. Clearly, as a direct impact of our president's tariffs and PlayStation not wanting to eat those. I've been told companies will be and countries will be happy to pay the tariffs. I'm still waiting for that to happen, but not not to get political. But I do think that this was expected. I'm pretty sure I said as much when Xbox did. I was like, PlayStation's following suit a week, 2 weeks, about however long it takes. Like once the supply ran out, they would increase the price of the PlayStation 5, and we've seen that come to fruition. $50 is it's not as much as Xbox has done. I think Xbox might have had 2 price increases here in the States, if I remember correctly. So maybe PlayStation has another one coming at some point, but I think PlayStation doesn't particularly have to worry that much. You look at the PS5 digital, right? Like it's now $500. That's $50 more than a Switch 2. It's more powerful than a Switch 2. It still has the cachet of it's PlayStation, right? Like you get PlayStation because of the brand recognition, the exclusives that they still very much have. I know they've kind of talked about, hey, we might explore multi-platform, we're going to hire people, yada yada. None of that has come to fruition. None of that I think will ultimately impact them having exclusives in the future. I still do think that's an important part of their business. So from where I stand, I don't think PlayStation really has to change much. I think $50 is something, like, it sucks. Nobody wants to pay $50 more dollars. But it could have been worse. It could have been $100 more each. And that's not to damage control, because I think it's garbage. These prices are going up. I'm just saying that's the economic reality that our country has created, unfortunately. But from a brand standpoint, from a consumer standpoint, in terms of if I'm going to pick a console, PlayStation still has the cheapest high-end console on the market. If you're not looking for a Switch 2, then like your options are a $600 Series X or a $500 PlayStation 5 digital, or I think what, 550 with the disc. So like they're still cheaper than the competition's console. So I really don't see this affecting sales all that much in the United States.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the catch-22. It's annoying, honestly, where, you know, we said we both appreciate shorter hype cycles and all of this. But the problem is that they are inherently going to be doing that, PlayStation, but we are so dry in terms of knowing exactly what's coming, or should I say specifically when it's coming, because we do know about a fair few first party games now. But because they are that de facto choice now in the console space, or like premium console space, they can get away with not saying anything without sort of proverbially blowing their load like they used to at showcases,
which sucks.
Yeah,
I think
it does.
I think Xbox maybe talks too much. I think Nintendo talks when they need to talk, but PlayStation has taken on such a mute personality this generation that it almost comes across as they feel that they're too good to talk to their consumers, and I don't like that. I think that's a bad look, especially when you have situations like this where it's like, hey, economic conditions, great, but can you come out and talk about your multi-platform strategy that people have been discussing at length for weeks now because of a job listing? Can you, if you are shifting course and saying, hey, we're going to try putting exclusives day and date on PC, or we're going to put games on Xbox or old, like, let us know. Are you putting older games, new games? Like, what is your strategy? Because that will influence consumer buying decisions for games, consoles. Like, do people go to PC? Like, these are economic decisions that people want to make, but you're not giving them enough information to allow them to make it in real time. And maybe they will eventually tell us, but when does that happen, right? Like it's a frustrating situation to be in.
Yeah. And like the weird part is that PlayStation have done a good job of, when they speak, they are at least now getting into a cadence of actually saying something, which is good. Like every state of play for the last year and a half has ended with a first party thing, either an actual first party studio or a first party partnership, like Kojima or Tokon, you know. So like every state of play we've heard about something new, which is great, but because they are so sparsed out, it still feels like there isn't a lot on the horizon, and realistically there isn't, to be frank, especially not in comparison to Xbox or even Nintendo. But yeah, we are just in that nebulous space where it's really hard for us to navigate as consumers and as people who talk about this stuff. It's sort of, we are eager to get that information, and we know, as logical people, we know that it's coming, but because of how the landscape has shifted, the rule book has been thrown out. You know, like it was a foregone conclusion a few years back that PlayStation would do a showcase every year, as would Xbox, and Nintendo would have a big direct where they'd show off tons of stuff. And Xbox and Nintendo haven't really deviated from that all that much, but PlayStation has. And I think that what you said about them having a bit of aloofness and sort of, they're acting like they're untouchable. And I think in some real sense, they kind of are.
That's what I know people have used the term arrogant Sony, but it does come across that way where first party output this generation has been lacking.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say. Well, not in terms of game quality, because when they put out games, I think that the games are of high quality, but consistency, they've had trouble with live service initiatives, studio closure, studio games getting canceled left and right. So I think that is where they're struggling there, but they come across arrogant because you mentioned the showcases. Like Xbox had their showcase, Nintendo has their directs, and I think Nintendo directs have been probably the I think Nintendo's probably had to pivot the least,
Yep.
just because they kind of had the Switch going on, and Switch 2 still picking up. But like Xbox, you think of a few years ago where they did their all these games are coming out in the next 12 months, and then they didn't meet that, and they got feedback. They got torn apart, rightfully so, for that. They took that feedback, and instead of doing the same thing next year, they've changed their strategy for their showcases, right? Like, hey, this one is all these games are Play Anywhere titles, all these are Game Pass titles. Like, they're curating their showcases now in a way that is good for consumer. Like, they're giving consumers important information that they need to know while showing games. Sony had that showcase, what, the Concord one? I think those was the last. Was that they had a showcase for Concord, right? Like
The last showcase they had was where Concord was initially revealed,
yes.
and that was the 2023 one
And
with
that was the
Fair
one that was
Games.
torn apart.
Yeah.
I don't, instead of taking the criticism and coming back with a stronger showcase, it seems that Sony has instead like gathered up their toys and, well, if you don't like it, we're not going to play it all. And then they just kind of like packed it up and left and say, hey, we'll give you a state of play that's mostly third party marketing deals. Occasionally, like we'll throw you Ghost of Yotei Marvel Tokon at the end there, right? But they do come across very like unwilling to listen to their consumer base because they know better. We should have liked this stuff. That's the message I have seemed to like be getting from them without them saying much to me.
Yeah, and the sort of thesis behind bringing this up as a topic was, again, we are probably entering. Obviously, we're in the latter half of this console's life cycle, generally on both sides. But we're probably entering like the most important 12 months, even maybe 6 months of the gen that's left. Because again, GTA 6 is going to shift hardware on both sides in a monstrous fashion. But do you think that, again, Sony view themselves, whether it is true or not is irrelevant, do you think that they view themselves in such a dominant position where if you're going to pick up a console for GTA 6, it's going to be a PlayStation? Do you think they view themselves in that degree to such an extent where they don't care about speaking? Because I feel, at least from a historical point of view, this, like whatever next month's show is, going into even Game Awards, maybe, this is the time where you would be like, here is all of the stuff coming. Even if it is like a couple of years away, like this is the stuff coming, because we know that you're going to be buying a new console for GTA 6 when it comes. So we want to show you as many reasons as possible to make it ours that you buy. But do you think that PlayStation are like, you're gonna buy ours? Let's be honest.
I do. I don't think they
So frustrating.
I don't think they feel they need to justify your purchase.
Yeah.
I think they feel that they have such a lead over Xbox, and from what I've heard, like there's rumors Xbox isn't even manufacturing series consoles anymore that I've heard, which I don't know the validity of that, but like I go to stores, the shelves are lined with Xboxes. I'll occasionally see a PS5 Pro sitting there, like just anecdotally, like I do see more Xboxes sitting on store shelves than PlayStations. I do think that there is a mentality from PlayStation that our competition is over. Our console is the default one that people are going to buy, and I honestly expect, like I assume Xbox will sell some consoles for GTA 6, but
Yeah.
I think the gap is going to get really large for GTA. So like PlayStation is going to demonstrably pull ahead even further than they are, which is crazy to think about, especially considering I think the Series X is a much better console than the Xbox One, and it's not even going to hit those numbers, and the gap is going to be bigger, and that's crazy for me to say, but that's just the reality we live in. So when I'm like, when I think of that, like that is Sony's stance, I then go back to our conversation about the multi-platform thing. Well, like if that's their stance that people are going to buy their console anyway, and they don't like, are they over there like we don't need exclusives? We don't
It's
like
true.
PlayStation's the name that matters. We like Xbox, nobody's even considering buying them, right? Switch, we're not competing in the same like if they have that mentality, that's a little bit of tidbit I can see. Like if they do have that in-house where they're then gonna be like, let's put stuff elsewhere. And I don't know what that looks like, and that remains to be seen. I'm completely speculating here, but it is an interesting thought process where they seem very confident and very arrogant. And Kyle, I do see your question in the chat that we'll talk about.
Yeah, it's strange, because we are in unprecedented times, just generally, not just with console positioning, but multi-platform strategies and, dismantling walled gardens. And I don't know, it's if people are that locked in and they have data that suggests that they don't need to convince people to buy PS5s because people are just going to buy PS5s, then I don't know what that means for like future hardware. When the PlayStation 6 comes around, does that mean that they don't think they need to have a showcase for the PlayStation 6
Hmm.
because it's just
They better
it's a
have a show.
known thing that people will buy the next PlayStation because people buy the next iPhone, Um, it's weird. It's weird. And that inherently, roping in all of our topics, that does mean that when PlayStation Studios do speak, it will be very close and it will be exciting each time they do it. But it also means that we're sort of sat on our hands as we have been for the past 7, 8 months at the very least, if not a couple of years at this point, going like, where is everything?
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I see some discussion in the chat about how Xbox killed their brand. I think Xbox killed their console, not their ecosystem or their brand. The Xbox
yeah.
brand is doing just fine. The Xbox console is not long for this world. And I also see like obviously exclusives are not consumer friendly, but I
Mm.
do think exclusive benefit consoles and building that sort of what if you're trying to build an install base. I think exclusives are important, but we'll see what PlayStation does. Xbox has made their decision, and they can't reverse course on that now. But Kyle or Ghostly Guides has a question. Thoughts on people who are saying because of MLID leaks about the PS6 and them saying the PS6 will be $500 with these price increases? That idea has to seem more delusional, right?
Um, well, I did see as well on top of that, take this with a grain of salt because I know a lot of people don't like him. I did see Sean Layden saying in an interview with someone that console tech is like stagnated and that consoles going forward should be cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think like as illogical as that seems in today's economy and the environment and capitalism and all that, I think that if these manufacturers, these brands are keen on having hardware as part of their lineup, and their brand identity going forwards in whatever capacity, I think it will ultimately at some point reach a threshold where it does sort of behoove them to do that, and have cheaper options at the very least, if it's not the only option. And we're already seeing that. Like there is the lower tier of the Xbox Ally. All indications suggest that there may be two SKUs Xbox next gen. Maybe you're also going to have a PlayStation handheld that might be a substitute lower tier compared to the PlayStation 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that is only going to expand over time, where you're just going to get more options, and inevitably some of those options will be cheaper. So I don't think it's out of the question that next consoles, I don't know about next consoles necessarily, like a PlayStation 6 being $500, but I could see a theoretical like PlayStation 7, as crazy as that sounds to say, being far cheaper than you would expect. Not only because the tech and the hardware inside it is cheaper to manufacture over time, but also that we've reached that plateau where you really don't need to innovate all that much, and you can just do incremental little things and features and services and
Mm-hmm.
innovation in software rather than hardware. And the
Yeah.
more focus that they put on that, I think the price of the hardware can then come down. That
Yeah.
might then mean subsidizing costs of software goes up, bear in mind.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's the trade-off you prefer, then
I think we've talked about how consoles are just going to be small iterations going forward. I think that might have been our first episode, right? Where PS6 is really going to be like, hey, does 4K more stable now? Games push 120 better now, like smaller things like that, right? If if a Where I'm struggling with the pricing is I don't see a world in which a more powerful machine comes out and it's cheaper than the PS5 Pro right now, and the PS5 Pro just got a price increase. The PS5 Pro is $750, right? And you're telling me that in 2 years' time, where I don't expect the economy to change, in fact, we're on a downward trend, if anything, right? Like you're telling me that somehow that machine is going to be cheaper than right now. Like that's not what reality is. That's not what trends are telling me at the moment. So I do find that difficult to believe. Um, I look at the handheld and I see Nissa. Do you think PlayStation will create a handheld like Xbox is trying to make? Um, I do think PlayStation wants a handheld for next generation.
yep.
Whether that's to play PS4 games, PS5 games, whatever it is. I struggle to see a handheld playing PS6 games, even though I know that is a rumor. Maybe it'll play them at a reduced frame rate, reduced resolution, obviously. But even then, like how much is that handheld going to cost? Because we look at something like the Xbox ROG Ally, right? Where pricing isn't out. They've said they've delayed pricing due to macroeconomic conditions, right? Which I think is a load of crap because like Best Buy has scraped the back end and like the leaked prices of 550 for the base, and then for the good one that people want is $900 in the US, right? Like I'm looking at these handheld prices and they're approaching PC prices.
Mhm.
So I don't see a world where you come out with a handheld that can play PS6 games and that isn't $1,000. Maybe they can subsidize it heavily, like you're saying, like whether it's increase the price of their games, however they want to increase PS Plus, however they want to subsidize it. But I don't know how that hardware gets there in such a short amount of time that we can meet in those middles. And obviously the ROG Ally price is heavier because it's not subsidized by Xbox, right? Like that's an open platform, and PlayStation would not have an open platform. I
No.
imagine they would strictly have you have to buy games from the PlayStation store. So
Yeah.
maybe price can be lower there, but even then, like six, $700, $600, like minimum probably. And maybe that's a reasonable expectation for people to be paying for a device like that. But I, it's a expensive future coming up is what I will say.
Yeah, it's short to midterm. I don't think it's possible really, not only due to like the macroeconomic climate, but also just general like price of components, and where tech is at right now. But I think it would have to come over time where components get cheaper. It would have to be in a more stable global economic environment, and it would also have to come with a mindset and strategy shift from both the corporation and the consumer side, where we're talking about like a PlayStation 6 handheld, um, running PlayStation 6 games. I think you would have to have the mindset of PlayStation 6 games are basically just going to be PlayStation 5 games, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like
Which I
because the
think,
differentiation between consoles.
which I think goes to Kyle's question here. Wouldn't they have to give the PS5 Pro a price cut as well? I don't think they'd have to cut it that much. If what
Mm.
you're saying, Sam, and sorry to interrupt you, but
No, no.
if they are iterative, like I think I said, we're gonna have PS4 games when the PS6 comes out, right? Like
Yep.
if you're gonna have the same games, on PS5. PS6 just runs the PS5 game a little better. The handheld runs it worse than maybe the PS5 Pro even, but it is playing a PS6 game. Like I don't know if they drop the hardware that much. I think it's just a different skew of the same hardware essentially.
Yeah, like if the and this is going to sound bad, but if the innovation in terms of like game technology reaches the plateau and there is like a consensus that games don't have to push visuals all the time across the board, or doesn't have to push length, game length and things like that. I think that that is where the cross-gen stuff will percolate the most, and it's going to naturally happen anyway, but that will happen even more. And as that happens, that would then have a trickle down effect on the hardware, because the hardware doesn't have to be that much more powerful because the games are the same essentially. And thus, over time, you would assume if the games are remaining on a relatively even plane with maybe a few outliers, then the hardware doesn't have to progress that much. And again, you can get that iteration in terms of like software and services more so than the actual components. The price of components, hopefully, generally come down over time. I know right now that wouldn't be the case, but generally speaking, in a more stable environment, it does. So that is where, again, mid to long term, I think you could reach that scenario where newer consoles have a lower price because they aren't pushing the boundaries that much more.
I
And
get that.
the mentality is shifted to more like it's status quo. This has a few incremental nice things, but it's really not doing anything new. It's if you want the spiciest, newest thing, you can get it, but it's really not trying to boundary leap like console generations used to do.
Yep. Which is why I've said like I'm content with my PS5 until like unless if there's a PS6 exclusive, I'm like, oh my god, I have to have that. Then maybe I'll upgrade. But like right now, I have no intention of getting rid of my PS5 because I think cross-gen titles will be heavily at launch for if this generation is anything to go line a few years at least.
I think the cross gen is going to be way longer than it was this gen.
And I don't
End
think
of
people are like that.
2022 was PlayStation 5 where it cut off. So I think 3-4 years at least, if not the entire gen. I could see that happening.
It's fine with me. I'll keep my PS5. Plays games great.
There you go.
All right, guys, we have been going long. It is very late for Sam over there, so I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thanks for hanging out with us in the chat. If you haven't dropped that like, please do on your way out. Sam, can you let everyone know where they can find you, my friend?
People can find me anywhere and everywhere at Sam Heaney. That's Heaney.
And you can find me at the Muffin Mon everywhere. It's on 1-7I, 0-7A. Follow us at Save the Game Media over on Blue Sky to stay up to date with all of our latest content. Until next week, we'll see you. Goodbye.